So, as the Ramones once sang, hey ho, let's go! I have to go to a government office. I'm trying to find out how to transfer my English license to a Malaysian one, because I now have an Asian license and I can use it in all of the Asian countries. And as I live in this area and I travel to them a lot, it's beneficial. So today we're out on Little Red, which says Honda on the side, which actually is not a Honda. So it's a chance to talk about Chinese motorbikes. This is a Malaysian branded Chinese bike. The Malaysian brand is Demak or Demak. Tell you the good and bad about these Chinese bikes that I've found. I've got two, so I feel I can safely at least talk a little bit about them. Start with the first thing. Cheap! This thing is 3,900 ringgit new. Bearing in mind that it's 5.4 ringgit to a pound, we're looking at probably around 700 quid for a new 125cc Honda CG125 based Chinese copy, obviously. Little motorbike. So first off, yes, it's cheap. Now secondly, everybody in Asia rides these bikes. The underbones have just overtaken me, and there's a couple of reasons for that. First of all, they're the fastest bikes you'll ever see on the road. Okay, I'm kidding, but these things fly along. I've been like popping along on my Kawasaki and they'll be keeping up with me for a fair bit of the way, in a way that this little thing with roughly the same engine size could never do. So, what's the benefit to a Chinese bike? What's the downsides that I can see? Well, the benefit obviously is price. Incredibly cheap. First bike I had here was a Yamaha FZ150i. And that was second hand, and I think I paid getting on towards 10,000 ringgit for it. So, 3,900 for a new bike tells you something. So, second real benefits. The downsides are many, but you have to kind of weigh one against the other. So the biggest downside is literally they're unsellable. Once you walk out that showroom, even the dealer doesn't want the bloody things back. Just a fact. Just like in the rest of the world, the people in Malaysia don't trust Chinese made bikes either, which is ridiculous. I've got two and they're both perfectly reliable, and I know that the owners of the Max in Malaysia as a whole that own this bike seem to really enjoy it. Secondly, the Mac themselves, my impression wasn't very good, because I bought the bike, within a week it had a petrol leak. I went back to where the only service centre in Johor was, and in the time I decided to buy the bike and the time I bought the bike, they closed up shop and disappeared, leaving me with like my nearest, I think one is Kuala Lumpur, which is, well, on this thing probably a 4 or 5 hour drive. There's no way I'm doing these Chinese bikes sort of as reliable, or similarly reliable I guess to the original engine, is they seem to have them very low stressed. Thanks lady. They seem to have them at set sort of fairly low rev, so although my speedometer rev counter on this thing goes up to 12,000 revs, I think sort of 8,000 is about as much as you'll ever see on here. I don't think I've seen that. So it'll top out about 7,500 revs, and top speed, well, hard to tell. All I know for sure is the speedometers on all of these Chinese bikes seems to be miles out. Well, these are two I've bought absolutely miles out. This one was something like 26 kilometers out when I GPS tested it at speed. Obviously I've no idea then how fast I'm going. It's all guesswork. But I mean, if I see like 110 kilometers on the clock here, I'm probably, if I'm lucky, doing 85 to 90 kilometers an hour, and that is probably top speed. Okay, so it isn't fast. There are other things on these. The petrol gauge. The petrol gauge is a joke. You can fill up and it'll be showing like full, and then an hour later, oh no, sorry, an hour, a few kilometers later it'll be showing, oh look, we're nearly empty. Oh fuck, flipping heck, that was a big lump hole. The roads here are surprising. You can be riding along very nice smoothly, and then boom, big hole. I had the throttle wide open at the moment, as you can see, or maybe you can see we're doing 90 something, which probably is 70 something if we're lucky. Which really isn't, you know, it's not about speed. This bike, this bike's great for just riding to the local mall, parking it. Frankly, if I came out and it was gone, yes, I'd be pissed off, of course, but it wouldn't be the end of the world, because frankly, it's a cheap little bike. It's what it is. You want a bike just to go to and from work. This is the perfect little bike. So for me, and I use it and abuse it. I don't, you know, I look after it as much as I service it regularly. I get the oil changed every 2,000 kilometers. Here we go with, this is the concrete bit. You saw this in the Kawasaki video, first one I just did. Huge loads of concrete on the road. You can see it's dried on the road now, nobody cleared it away. So we're going around here again, same road unfortunately, most of this, although not most of it, just the first part of it, it's the same road. Just as we're going to the government building. I'm talking a lot, I hope it's coming out, not that it's much good. Anyway, so Chinese motorbikes. Pros, cheap, fairly reliable. If anything goes wrong, I think the parts are certainly cheaper than something like a Korean bike, like a Hyosung. Also another bike which has a dreadful reputation here. I had a friend had one, countless problems, but the problems weren't the end of it. Getting the spare parts and the cost of the spare parts was ridiculous. This thing, obviously it's based on a Honda 125, so I'm pretty sure most of the parts are fairly interchangeable, and that seems to me to be the biggest weakness. The perception of Chinese bikes, even in Malaysia, I think it's getting better. And they seem to be getting a bit of a foothold here now, but these cheaper ones, that being said, I'm very happy with this. I've literally, for me, it's a run around, it's a go shopping kind of bike, it's a, you know, I know I've got to go into the city centre, there'll be lots of traffic, I just want to cut in and out of traffic kind of bike. It's just a simple bike. Nothing major and nothing difficult. Not the end of the world. I wouldn't want to go long journeys on it. I don't think that would be much fun. I think probably 30 minutes to an hour. That's probably all you need. I don't know if you can see this, but we're being bounced around here. The roads are fabulous. This road also is a huge accident black spot. Although all that traffic on the other side separating us by this huge bit in the middle and all the trees, regularly cars cross one side to the other and kill people, usually poor motorcyclists who are obviously unprotected and just minding their own business, but we are the victims often because, well, we are right there, aren't we? Look at us. And you know what, I think there's a very good chance I've passed the turning I was meant to go to, so I'm too busy talking and not paying attention. So, well, that's fun, isn't it? Yeah, we've gone past it, unfortunately. I now kind of think I know where I am, and it's not there. Oh no, there you go, there's the turning. You see the way that car just decided to start pulling out on me? And he's pulling out again now, but anyway, we're past him. We want to be turning left here, so we'll take the inner lane. We're going to a place called JPJ. I don't actually know what it stands for. I'm ashamed to say that my Bahasa Malaysia and Bahasa Malay is non-existent. This part of Malaysia, most everybody you need to speak to speaks English. There's always stories here about how bad the English is in Malaysia and all that, but why should they? English isn't their main language. Malaysian is their main language. Bahasa Malay is their main language. So, you know, why should they kowtow to us and get the English right? It's ridiculous. In Singapore, it's a different thing. Singapore, one of their official languages is English. Therefore, of course, they should get it right. But they have a thing called Singlish over there, which, let's be honest, they all understand and they all seem to get away with. And it's kind of its own thing. Which, I mean, it's all fine. No, you know, there isn't a problem with speaking English. It's just the written English. People make a fuss about it. They're speaking English. They all do the same kind of things, and nobody gets hurt by it. But it's the written English that people all seem to get butthurt about. So there we go. Right, so we're going in here. We're going to go up the next turning. I don't even know if I've got time for this. I'm supposed to be taking my granddaughter drumming soon, so I better get this sorted out. And then next week, happy days, I'm off on holiday, so off to lands far. On the side here, so like last time, looks like it's okay, we'll be able to do that. Pandora. Okay, well, mission not really accomplished. I went to the office, that was all okay, and I was told to go upstairs, so that was fine. And I go to the upstairs, and there's two offices. I don't know which one to go to, so I'll make a guess based on nothing really, just a guess. And with that guess, I then talked to the guy in there. He didn't speak very good English, and that's not his problem, that's mine. And I think he knew what I wanted to do. He gave me a form and told me how to go to counter 6. Well, the form's in Malay, so again, not his fault, my fault. I need to get somebody to help me with that. And then the person on counter 6, I don't think, maybe he didn't speak good English, or maybe the right person's not in today, so they come back next week. It's not that super urgent that I get this done. It's just that if I'm travelling over the rest of Asia, it'd be nice to have a decent driving licence that I can use without having the international driving licence. I've had no problem using it, my English one here, they're fine with that. But it's for the rest of Asia, so if I go to Thailand, I don't really like the fact I get stopped every time I'm on a bike by the bloody police and shook for some money. They're I mean, acting within the law, but you know, it's always an arbitrary amount of money depending on how much they think they can get you for. But that's life. So I've got a piece of paper to take home with me. I will go and fill it in and then see about coming back. Obviously not next week because I'll be on holiday. I mean, I could come Monday or Tuesday, I guess. We'll see. After that, I'm away. Tell you what, it's really hot. It's really hot. The downside of doing vlogging is you have to have your visor closed, otherwise the sound will be rubbish. I mean, I'm still not sure it's any good anyway. I've just repositioned the microphone for this one, and we'll see if that helps. Frankly, if it doesn't, I don't know what I'm going to do. But reposition the microphone, and when you have it shut, then you sweat your tits off. Even with it up, I mean, you know, you get a nice bit of cooling air, but still not exactly. It's not cool here. I mean, it looks fairly dark if you look at the sky and stuff, but let me tell you. Oh dear, that's not good. Let me tell you, the weather Still damn hot here. Bumpy, bumpy. So he's going back. In summary, the Demak D7, which is what this is, a D7, is a decent bike. Let's say you're an middle-aged, middle to old-aged white man, and you just want a cheap bike to run around on, and you really don't give a damn what people think, and you don't really like underbones just because, I just don't like them, then this is a cool bike to get. Now here's the funny thing, so when I got this bike it was blue with some silly little flames stuck on the side. This is fun. I mean, that's all it is. It's not fast, not powerful, but it is fun. And so, what am I rambling on about? So yeah, I've decided to keep this little red thing because for going shopping, for taking my granddaughter places that aren't too far away, for sort of just popping around to get little, pay the bills and stuff like that, just like easy little jobs. It's easy to sort of pull up on this, park it somewhere, then hop on it, back and go off. You know, the bigger one, there's always that much more hassle. I'm much more concerned about where I leave it. I'm much more concerned about sticking it in tight spaces and stuff. I don't want to get it damaged. I want anyone else to damage or knock it over. So, you know, but that was never the intention anyway. It's always the intention to have two bikes, because one could be what I would call the utility bike, if you like, and the other one's the fun bike. I don't need either of them technically. I could just get a taxi like everybody else would have to, or a bus, or, you know, but I want them for fun. So the blue bike, which we will go out on someday soon and do a little video of, all being well, vlogger now. We'll take that thing for a ride, and I'll talk about that as I ride it, and I don't know, hopefully one day I'll sell it. But yeah, what we said about Chinese bikes, that's the perfect example. And that wasn't 3,900 ringgit, it was just a tiny little bit more, double. So, you know, and I'm going to get significantly less for that than I would for this. Well, no, that's not true. I've lost considerably more in a much shorter time than I have on this thing. This thing's lost probably lost 50% of its value, and that thing's lost in just over a year. Oh, it's hot, it's pretty airy. That thing is lost in just over a year, freaking hell, 70%, 75%, whereas this has lost 50% in 3 years. It's kind of a bit ridiculous when you think about it. But that's just what it is, and I mean, I kind of don't mind losing the money on this one, because 4,000 ringgits, no big deal, but I paid nearly 10,000 for the other one. And I think it's only worth maybe, well, based on the fact that nobody's rushing to buy it even at 3,000, what is it worth? Which are basically just tying themselves into debt for years because they won't buy second hand. And to be honest, my blue bike at say 3,000 ringgit second hand, or a new one at, say, I think they're probably 7 or 8 now. They've dropped in price. Even the new ones no one wants. I'd pay the 3,000. Oh, motorbikes. Some nice countryside around here. That's the entrance to the Sultan's Palace. Not bad, is it? It's got a lovely plot of land, don't you know? Living the good life. JDT. Okay. Take care. Bye.